UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Engage.
78 years have passed since the days of the original USS Enterprise. Now a new Galaxy starship has been designed.
Transporter Chief, beam our listeners aboard. Welcome to Galaxy Class, a Star Trek The Next Generation podcast on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I am Diplomatic Standard Bearer Kevin Scharf, and with me today is the entire crew. Counselor Amy Nelson, Chief Recreational Officer Rhea Papagiorgio, and whatever he is this week, Joe Keegan. Hello!
Yay! Happy to see your smiling faces. And Joe's.
Yes, I'm good. I think I'm the Chief Barbecue today.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Amy?
Very nice.
Yes, so glad to have all of us in the house. Very excited. It's been too long, you guys.
It's very exciting. Everybody's getting ready.
Amy, are you on... Sorry, Kevin. Are you on summer holiday, Amy?
Well, I am working summer school. So I've just finished my first week of summer school. I have two lovely children that decided that they wanted to do math in the summer. So I'm pulling out all the fun stuff. I'm very excited. And the kids, every day, they're like, I'm so glad that I'm here. And that just makes me happy.
Nice to hear.
So I'm... Yeah, working in the summer till June 30th so that I can have funds to go and do all the Trek things.
Exciting. And Joe, you teach till the end of June?
Yes, we finish up at 1 p.m. on June 24th.
Very nice.
Which means...
counting?
Yes, which means I have some 13 and a half days of work left.
Exciting.
Oh, that's perfect timing because you can hop right on a plane and come to Nebraska, and there's a wine dinner that night that I'll be going to. You can come with.
Well, I finish at 1 o'clock, and I think the USA is still on our amber list. So if I went, I'd have to quarantine kind of probably there and on the way back for 10 days. So
That's fine. I'll go without you. It's all good.
okay, thanks. Enjoy it, please.
I have the last week of June off from my job. But right now we can't leave the province. But our numbers are coming down, so we're getting there. It's going to happen soon, eventually.
I know, Kevin, you complain about the whole province is closed and we can't go outside the province. But Canadian provinces are like the size of small planets.
Oh, that's true. I did a lovely day trip last week to Muskokas where I just sat by some waterfalls and ate sausage rolls and had a picnic. It was great.
Okay, let me ask you this. What is a sausage roll?
It's sausage meat.
Is that a hot dog?
Meat inside a pastry that is baked that I picked up at a local bakery while I was up in Muskoka. Flaky pastry with sausage meat.
Yummy.
Is that what you would call it?
What do they call those in Germany? Because they have those in Germany, and they're delicious.
We call them sausage rolls over here. It's like a puff pastry with sausage meat inside.
Sausage meat inside puff pastry.
But it differs from a rolling sausage, which is like sausages, sometimes square sausages, on like a bun, like a roll.
Like a hot dog.
Not like a burger bun. Like a round roll. Like like a
With a square patty.
That's
like
not
a hamburger.
I know. It's too complicated. So we have this sausage in Scotland called square slice, and it's basically, I think it's a mixture of beef and pork sausage meat, and it's slightly spiced. It's very slightly. The fat ratio is like maybe 90% fat to 10% meat. So when you cook it, like you don't have to put any oil in the pan because it's just all fat. But very tasty.
Is this just the Scottish way to try to get rid of all the extra haggis?
We sometimes use it to entice haggis from out of the bushes so we can capture the haggis.
Okay, you guys are making me hungry, and I'm in the freezer here pulling out some sausage to cook later.
Oh my goodness.
So, thanks a
Rhea
lot.
and her harebrained ideas to take a banana and wrap bacon around it, you guys.
Oh
Rhea.
my gosh.
I saw that.
So good. So good. I can't stand letting like produce go bad. And this banana, I just, I knew I needed to eat it, and I don't like to just eat a banana. And I didn't feel like making a smoothie, and didn't feel like making pancakes. And I just bought this nice thick cut bacon. And so I'm like, 1 + 2 = 3. And yeah, just on a whim, wrapped the bacon. Well, I cooked the bacon a little bit first, so it wasn't totally raw when I wrapped it around the banana, and stuck some toothpicks in it, stuck it in the little air fryer toaster thing. 10 minutes later, paradise.
Wow. That, interestingly, on the day you posted that on Facebook, Rhea, I'm in a group, an Expeditionary Force group, which covers the Expeditionary Force books by, is it Craig Allinson? And there's a character who's essentially a super intelligent alien artificial intelligence in what looks like a beer can. That's just his little device that he exists in, and he thinks humans are really stupid, and he winds us up, but he calls us stupid monkeys. And on that group yesterday, somebody posted a recipe from, I think it might have been from some kind of 1950s American cookery magazine, and it was bananas wrapped in bacon with hollandaise sauce over it. It's like banana hollandaise. And I was like, whoa.
That might
nasty.
actually, that interests me.
I do like sweet and salty.
Yeah.
And that's why.
So maybe bacon.
Yeah, that's why like maple syrup and bacon works. Bananas and bacon totally works.
Ice cream and bacon with caramel syrup absolutely works.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Oh, there's a bakery that makes maple glazed donuts with candy
Yes,
bacon on top.
those are so
Or salted caramel, that works. Salt, sweet, but I'm not buying the hollandaise.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, if we don't start like getting on topic soon, I'm going to leave and go to the bakery. So.
Okay, well then, why don't we check the communications array and see if we have any comments from our listeners?
Logs accessed.
From the Federation Council chambers, we have Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi says, thanks for the shout out. And we might have Queen Victoria's voice recorded, and posted a link for that. Now, Chrissie is launching her new podcast, History with the Szilagys. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to listen to it. It's absolutely wonderful. Quick 10, 15 minutes max from what I've heard so far. Just a little history moment, and it's perfect for me because that's my drive to get to school. So I'm loving it. Little bits of history. I mean, the first one of them was about how the Romans worshipped and idolized their chickens. It was quite fascinating.
That's awesome. It's been a crazy week, but it's in my podcast feed now. I have subscribed and looking forward to listening to it.
Yeah, me too.
We have a message from our friend Christian Alonso. The only episode I could think of that wasn't mentioned was the Nth Degree, where Barclay becomes a supercomputer. But as he's not a main character, maybe that wouldn't count. So
I think it totally counts. I just didn't think of Barclay episode when we were putting our list together. I went through the main cast and was thinking how did each of the main cast ever get changed during the course of the series. So that's why Nth Degree didn't come to my mind.
Yeah, I think it totally works because he definitely was taken over by someone/something else.
I'm going to agree. I don't actually know what we're talking about at the moment, so I'm just going to agree.
You didn't listen to our episode?
We created, a watch list of where someone becomes someone else.
Oh, yeah, that totally counts, Christian. Well done. Good.
Yep.
Good call.
Yeah, nice save there, Joe. So from Twitter, regarding the Face of the Enemy from the episode 42 watch list, @ni_molai writes, I remember being absolutely petrified for Deanna during this episode. Yeah. I mean, she was in such a precarious, dangerous position there, and of course came through it with flying colors. But man, one wrong slip, could have ended disastrously for her.
For sure. We also got an email from our friend Stuart McElwain. Woohoo. He said he loved the episode on the Prime Directive that Amy and Rhea did last week.
Yay.
Here are his thoughts on the Prime Directive. It is as much there to protect the Federation cultures as much as the pre-warp civilizations throughout the galaxy. It stops us as humans blundering into a situation and arrogantly trying to solve a situation through the prism of our values. By the 24th century, we should have matured enough to know that our best intentions can cause great unforeseen damage. On Rhea's point about warp-capable civilizations interacting with each other and inspiring development among them, I think that this is different, as in theory we should all be on a level playing field technologically, socially, and culturally. It can be tough, but I believe the Prime Directive, on the whole, is a good thing. Loving the show overall. Keep up the good work, guys. Stu.
Well, thank you, Stu. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that as for the warp-capable thing, I always thought that was kind of arbitrary, like who, why, once they're warp capable, then you can interact with them. But it wasn't until we recorded that episode that I thought, well, maybe that does make sense, because once they're warp capable, they're going to interact with different planets anyway. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for the email. I love going to email. It's like, oh, we got an email.
His comment about arrogantly trying to solve the situation through the prism of our values, that's hitting home really, really on the nail this week in Canada. I don't know if you guys get a lot of Canadian news, but there's been a terrible dark secret in our history, and that's that we used to force Native children into what they call residential schools. And so they were mostly run by churches, and they would just come to Native communities and take the kids. And at one of these schools, and this went on until the 1990s, from the 1870s to the 1990s.
Gosh.
In one of these schools in British Columbia, the local Native council there had paid to have some exploration work done on the grounds of the school, and they found the remains of 215 children.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that in the news. That's horrific. And do you know what? That it happens like all over the world. Like there was a story recently in, I'm not sure if it was the Republic of Ireland or Northern Ireland, but yeah, one of the Irish countries had an issue with a residential school, and I think it was for mothers who found themselves pregnant but they weren't married, so they were kicked out of home, and then they gave their kids up for adoption, and the children were just used as slaves. And they did excavation work and they found lots of kind of dead, like skeletons of children in the grounds.
Oh.
Well, in Canada, this is just one school out of hundreds. So I'm sure there are going to be inquiries. I mean, there's already a national tribunal called the Truth and Reconciliation Tribunal that's trying to come to terms with everything that's happened. But after this discovery, I'm sure that local First Nations people, bands across the country are going to want to have investigations done into the residential schools in there. And sometimes kids were sent hundreds, thousands of miles away from where they lived and had no more contact with their families. They were beaten if they spoke any language other than English. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's a terrible, like, people look at Canada as this sort of beacon of diversity and openness, and yet we have this really dark streak that runs through our history, and it's really just now that things are coming. And that, like, when Stuart mentioned blundering into a situation and arrogantly trying to solve the situation through our values, that's exactly what happened. These people came from Europe. They brought their values and said, "You are wrong, and you're going to do it our way." And it turned into a terrible, terrible tragedy. So I hope that by the 24th century, I hope that by the 21st century, we can get past this.
Amen.
Better than this as a species.
Amen.
Well, on that, let's move on to something a little more pleasant. Our latest Batleth battle.
This is the captain. Senior officers will report to my ready room immediately.
So, the current Batleth battle is Relics, which is Season 6, Episode 4, versus Redemption, which is our first two-parter that we're doing in a Batleth battle. This is the last episode of Season 4, Episode 26, and the first episode of Season 5. So, overall, this has been the closest vote that we've had on social media. On Twitter, we only had 2 votes, but it was evenly split, 1-1. On Facebook, it was 9-6. I won't tell you for which one yet. I will wait until the reveal of our vote, because that could be the tiebreaker. We're in a situation where there's 4 of us. We will let the social media be the tiebreaker. But we did have lots of great discussion on the Federation Council Chamber post about the Batleth battle. And so why don't we get into some of that? The first one is from Christos Generis. He said, Redemption is a great two-parter that is vital to canon. I rewatch it a lot. Relics is a good story and a lot of fun, but it's more nostalgia and fan service. His vote is for Redemption. And Casey Pettitt responded to that post by saying those were his sentiments exactly.
Vera Bible writes, this is a tough one as they are both very good episodes, but I'm choosing Redemption. Anything have to do with Worf or Klingons will get my vote. Yes, Vera, we do know that you love the Klingon stories.
We've got another comment from Paul Wright Jr. This might be the toughest one yet. I love both episodes, and it's not fair to compare a classic like Relics to a great two-parter. I voted Relics for nostalgia, but I loved Redemption. The scene where the entire crew mans the rails for Worf on the way to the transporter room still gives me chills. Paul, I feel your pain. I still haven't decided which way I'm going to vote, so it's like super tough. And I never knew that's what that term was, manning the rails. Like when you give somebody a
proper send-off.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
What is it? A thingy of honour? An honour, like an honour guard kind of idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
And Jim McMahon wrote, since the stories in both are really good to me, I'm looking at it from this perspective. This is a battle between 2 episodes that each feature the return of an actor to Star Trek on television. Redemption saw Denise Crosby's return, and Relics saw James Doohan play Scotty on TNG. And even though we got a wonderful look into Klingon culture in Redemption, the return of Scotty to Star Trek on television, plus his proverbial fish out of water not knowing what to do in the 24th century, wins the battle for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's tight.
Yes, it is.
Very tight. Well, why don't we get into episode specifics? Who would like to give me a brief summary of Relics? We'll start with the easy one. Anyone volunteer?
I'll do the easy one.
Okay, Rhea, go ahead.
Okay.
Give us a short synopsis of Relics.
Short synopsis, the Enterprise D is cruising along. They discover some anomalous readings. Or no, are they looking for the Janolan specifically?
No.
At any
They
rate.
get a emergency signal from it.
Okay, see, now I've already screwed up the easy one. So the Enterprise D gets an emergency signal from the Janolan and a lost vessel, and as they're going to investigate, they basically stumble upon what appears to be a Dyson sphere. They beam aboard the Janolan to find that life support is barely functioning, and there appears to be transporter activity, and upon further examination, they activate the transporter, and lo and behold, who appears but Captain Scott himself. Unfortunately, Franklin was lost in the transporter buffer along with everybody else on the Janolan.
Poor Franklin.
Captain Scott, of course. Yeah, poor Franklin. Captain Scott being Chief Engineer Montgomery Scott that we all know and love from Star Trek, the original series. Beams aboard the Enterprise D. They tend to his injuries. In the meantime, the Enterprise is kind of trapped within the pull of this Dyson sphere. Scotty tries to be helpful, but realizes that he is from a different time, an older time. LaForge is not particularly patient with him. Scotty is sad and depressed, and Picard, realizing this, talks to LaForge and says, hey, why don't you guys beam aboard the Janolan and see what you can retrieve from their computer systems about the Dyson sphere. And in the process, the Enterprise Computer, shut up. Sorry, that was my Alexa. While Scotty and LaForge are aboard the Jenolan, the Enterprise gets pulled into the Dyson Sphere, and it is only at that time that Scotty realizes that he still has value and they can save the Enterprise D, and they do by wedging open a door, I guess. And then Enterprise D escapes. They beam Scotty and LaForge back aboard. The Jenolan's destroyed, and Picard hands out a shuttle pod to Scotty, who is not going to retire, but going to go live the rest of his life now in the 24th century.
Seems
Nice
like
recap.
Yeah, I don't have to watch the episode now because I've run out of time for watching that episode. So, Rhea, you've done a good job summarising that. It's brought it all flooding back to me.
Yay!
So, can I just ask a question before we get too deep?
Sure.
It really came across quite abrasive to me, this rewatch, when Scotty goes to the medical bay and there's Beverly, tending his wounds because he had a broken arm and stuff like that. And he just makes the comment to Beverly, oh, the doctors are so much prettier. Just some comment like that. And I was like, is that really necessary? I understand that he is representing the original series and that might have been acceptable comment back then. Well, no, I lie. That's never an acceptable comment. It just came across so creepy. And I was like, why are they putting it here when in the 24th century we are supposed to be more enlightened? And then we get this back comment that I'm just like, really? Is it there just to show how old and antiquated?
Is it a joke, though? Is he comparing Beverly to Dr. McCoy?
Bones, yeah.
Like he's not a pretty kind of doctor. Do you know what I mean? So I think he's just making it as a joke. It's
just to compare and contrast.
Just to I don't think it's
okay.
I didn't take it as a sexist thing. I took it as just he's saying, "Oh, you're way prettier than the doctor from my old ship." Leonard McCoy, who was just like a curmudgeonly old man, almost.
I take it both ways because, yes, Amy, watching that, it does kind of make me cringe. And Joe, the only way I can kind of reconcile it in my headcanon is that he's making a joke comparing her to Dr. McCoy. But the fact of the matter is, this was made in the 90s, and in the 90s, that was okay. I was just thinking about this a few days ago, that, working in the 90s, like #MeToo was a job requirement. If you were female, there was no, getting around it. And it's kind of funny because in the Star Trek original series, they were incredibly sexist because that was how it was in the 60s, but not in the 23rd century, we would hope. And so then in the 90s, where it's still okay to an extent, they're trying to portray the 24th century, and someday.
Yeah.
I had the same thought as Amy at first, and then my head came around to where Joe is as that scene finished. I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem appropriate. Oh, wait, no, he's directly comparing her to McCoy.
Okay.
Which I think is the only way we spare them from that ridicule, isn't it?
Because he's not saying that she's prettier than all the doctors from his time. He's saying that this Enterprise has a prettier doctor than his Enterprise.
Okay.
So it's two specific people he's comparing. And that's my justification.
But his Enterprise had the prettier bridge than Enterprise D.
This is true.
That's why he wanted, the holographic original series bridge, no bloody A, B, C, D, whatever.
Yes.
So I think he's
Oh, I thought you were talking about the people on the bridge.
No, the actual bridge, because he wanted his original series bridge.
When you watch that scene where he enters for the first time and you hear the sounds, it's like wrapping up in a warm blanket, and it's like, I love those sounds.
I just got a bit of a shiver, chill when you see the doors open. It's like, whoa,
chills.
yeah.
I get the chills when they first activate the transporter on the Janolan, and it's the TOS transporter sounds. Just that. The first time I saw that, I jumped out of my chair. I'm like, what? Yeah.
You know, I like this episode a lot, but as I watched it, I had some issues with it, which I'm sure we'll get into when we discuss the episode on a whole. But why don't we talk about guest stars first? There's really only one, and he's kind of great.
Kind of trumps,
and that's the inimitable James Doohan as Scotty, right? You're going back to the original well, and getting somebody as great as that is pretty fantastic. And a lot of extras to line the corridors. I wonder if they just got like production people like, hey, we just need people to be in this scene, just stand and watch. Oh, I'm thinking of the other episode. I'm thinking of the Worf episode. Take that right out of my head. Never mind.
Edit.
Well, we did have Tracy Lee Coco as Lieutenant Junior J in this episode.
Yes.
She was there.
Can we talk about the science? Because I kind of love the science.
Oh my gosh, isn't it wonderful?
Okay.
Dyson. So, not to be confused with Dyson, like James Dyson, the guy that makes the Hoovers. Because that's what we call vacuum cleaners in Scotland. Like, we just all call them Hoovers, regardless of make.
Right.
So, like it's a verb and a noun. So I'm going to vacuum. No, we say I'm going to hoover. You might not have a Hoover produced appliance. Like we've got a Dyson, but I still use the Hoover to hoover. Okay, just to explain that. So Dyson, James Dyson, is the guy that made the vacuum cleaners, and Freeman Dyson is the guy that came up with the idea that you could encompass a star with some kind of superstructure and absorb all the energy from the star to power your civilization. And the benefits of that is that you are basically capturing all the energy rather than just the little tiny bit that falls on your planet during daytime. So I just love it. I just love the crazy big engineering concepts behind that. And we're like millions of years away from being able to do that, but it's pretty awesome. And it's a shame that everybody had died inside.
I really liked how Scotty kept himself in the transporter, like dire straits, and to have it on this, continual loop. So hopefully, his didn't degrade, but unfortunately Franklin's did. But again, just how creative to even think of something like that is so cool. I love that part.
I don't know if it would work though. Seems like where are you getting all that energy to keep you in the buffer? But it's because he was Scotty. If it was anybody else, it wouldn't have worked.
Right. And I've always wondered too: is Freeman like bigger or smaller than Scotty? Does he have more or fewer molecules than Scotty? Because
Franklin
his pattern degraded 53% or whatever it was. And Scotty's didn't, so
maybe like
he was too small to.
Now, like when one fetus consumes another fetus, maybe like Scotty ate Franklin in the transporter buffer. I don't know.
So importance to canon.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it is the return of Scotty, and there are lots of references to both classic episodes and original series and earlier next gen episodes. So this isn't a totally standalone episode. It acknowledges that things have happened before, and
there are a lot of callbacks. You're right.
A lot.
Oh, yeah. A ton of
I
callbacks.
love when Geordie's walking and explaining Galaxy's Child.
Oh, yes. And then, of course...
You soured the milk.
Yeah. And then Scotty, references, I don't even know how many TOS episodes. And Data does, too, with one of my favorite quotes.
Which one?
That I might be saving for the end.
Oh, okay.
Is Geordie a little bit intolerant, do we think?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Right. This is my major problem with the episode. Is that they rescue Scotty. They are in awe of his engineering ability. And then they bring him back to the Enterprise and leave him alone in a room. Yeah. Like, when it's very obvious that this is a man who needs to be around people and talk to people. And it's a shame that the Deanna scene got cut. You know, they did film a scene where she came to him and said, "Hi, I'm the ship's counselor." And he's like, the what? Like, why is there a psychologist on the ship? Because she does not appear in this episode at all, except to hug him and say goodbye like they're old friends at the end, when she'd never even encountered him during the whole episode. So that's a major problem for me. It just feels to me like outside of Picard, everybody treats him like a problem and not what's what I'm looking for?
As the treasured
as an
vessel that
asset.
he is.
Exactly. This man just stepped out of 80 years ago. Like, this man is a treasure trove of knowledge about things that your grandparents might have talked about, right? Like, why was there not more excitement? Why would like the ensign who shows him how to use the food replicator? I'm like, be in awe of this man. He was on Kirk's Enterprise. I gotta get back to my duties, pushing the green button on the room that's outside the bridge.
Yeah, are you missing Margarita Hour or something, Ensign?
Exactly.
Sit your lower deck's butt down and.
Is that the thing about
yourself?
That's the thing about young people. They don't. They see older people a lot of the time as like the problem or just the old fogey that's kind of getting in the way.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Mariner and Boimler would have been a little more excited, but anyway.
I think so too. Amy's got something she wants to say.
So, can I play devil's advocate being the old one of the group?
Sure, Granny.
I think
Had to say that before Joe says it.
Well, you're wearing a
Joe's
red
the baby
vest,
of
so
the
do anything devilish that you want, please.
So, I understand completely the criticism that you're saying and the treatment of him. However, ... is this not a realistic representation that has happened sometimes in your life, in others' lives, where we're in a situation and I have to do my job and I really don't have time to walk you through? Have you help us get out of this? Because things are so different that you're not understanding all of the complexities and the advancements. And I'm not saying it's right. And when I do it, it's not right. When you do it, it's not right. But does it happen?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying Scotty is faultless here either. Like, he knew there was a crisis situation happening, and he walked in. He walked into engineering, just expecting to be
opens up the crystal without even asking, like, "Well, oh, your crystals are broken." Like, are you going around just touching everything? Like,
exactly. I mean, I'm not saying he's faultless here, but if somebody had been assigned to be Scotty's
pal,
listener,
liaison,
yes,
then none of this would have happened. But instead, you dumped him in some guest quarters and left him by himself. And it took Picard himself coming to hang out and drink Aldebaran whiskey.
Then another thing that that I didn't really love about this episode was when Scotty did go into engineering and just jumping in and touching stuff and breaking stuff. Like, he wouldn't do that. He knows he's just, jumped a few decades into the future. And anyway.
Joe?
See, coming back to the cut Deanna scene, I don't know, is my memory playing tricks on me, but does that come across really sexist? Even more so if you thought the Beverly
comment,
Scotty scene was really sexist, then this, like, this, what, I can't remember what he says, but is it not like, "Oh, you're a very pretty woman or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like really almost derogatory in a way.
Where you see any kind of woman and the first thing is to comment on her appearance.
Yeah.
It's that creepy vibe,
Which is
unfortunately.
is why I'm glad it was cut. However, I think, like you said, it would have been useful to see those scenes with Deanna and maybe have Deanna be the liaison person, the person that kind of maybe brings them up to speed on the 24th century.
Yes. Oh my gosh, perfect.
Thanks, Amy.
And at this point, too, we know that both McCoy and Spock are still alive.
Do you know what? See if it was made today. See, it was 2021. They would done some cool CGI, de-aging. I know they're both dead now, but they would have done a subspace kind of video call with Spock and McCoy and Scotty, and our heads would have exploded.
Yes.
Wow. Yes.
But he never even asked about his friends, and they never offered. Although apparently that was in the cutscene as well. Deanna, in the cutscene, Deanna asks, "Would you like to know about where your friends and family are?" And he says, "No, I don't think I'm ready for that yet."
Okay, so that's something that's kind of, there's a, I don't know, questionable canon issue there with Kirk, because, one of the first things Scott says when they beam him back aboard the Janolan is, "Oh, the Enterprise, I bet Kirk, took the ship and came here himself to rescue me." But Scotty was on board the Enterprise B when
Kirk died.
was,
yeah,
died, finger quotes, died. So
they hadn't
My
written.
Of course, you could chalk that
that was the 0.003% of his pattern that got got degraded in the transporter buffer.
Yep, that's my headcanon as well.
I didn't even think about it, but now that's my headcanon.
Same.
And when you're told the Enterprise is coming and you served on the Enterprise for as long as Scotty did, Kirk would be the first name that you would think of, right? So.
All right, that's Relics.
Anything more we need to say about Relics before we move on? Sounds like
we're good.
it sounds like
we're all good.
The case is closed on Relics, so let us move on to open the case on Redemption, the two-part. Now, do we want to split this up? Do you guys each want to take a half, Amy and Joe, or does somebody just want to go ahead and dive deep?
I'll split it with Amy. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Amy, do you want to go first?
Okay, stop me so I don't run into your episode.
Yeah.
All right, so the redemption story is so good. We get Worf, and the Enterprise D is going to, because Picard is the arbiter of succession, going to now proclaim that Gowron is the new ruler of the Klingon Empire. However, there is someone there to challenge, and that would be Tural, Duros's illegitimate son. So there is a challenge going forth. We have the Duras sisters. They still are a powerful house, and Worf goes to Gowron and is like, listen, this is what happened, because Gowron didn't know anything about why Worf was discommoded. And so Worf tells him and says, listen, I took the blame for this because the Duras house was so strong. I feel like now's the time. Let's get this taken care of. And Gowron's like, well, you should have considered that before taking that, because you're just going to have to live with it. And the Duras house is still strong. And if I go and put you back into the Klingon name, then I'm going to lose my support. And then I'm going to lose becoming leader. Well, Worf did not like that answer. Kern talks to Kern, his brother, and is like, Kern's like, I can't stand Gowron. We've got to take him down. I've got 3 other squadron leaders that are going to support me, and we're going to, fight this, and Gowron's not going to be leader. Let's be leader together. And Worf's like, no, I'm the elder, and we are going to support Gowron, so you just fall back in line. So Kern's like, okay, I'll wait for your call. Am I missing anything else?
Nope,
did I go too far?
You keep going.
Okay, so what happens next?
Worf leaves the Enterprise.
Well, he takes a leave of absence.
Yes.
With permission.
Yes.
At this time, to go and to fight with Gowron and to make his plans. Goes to the Klingon ship and gets taken by Lursa and B'Etor. And the plan comes out and is like, listen, you are awesome, so why don't you marry B'Etor and we can rule the Klingon Empire together? It's like, this sounds like a Romulan plot. I think that's about where I'm at with my... I don't want to go too far.
No, I think you might...
You did miss.
Okay, so I'm going to pass it off to Joe.
Made Gowron the leader, and most of the counselors at the High Council left, and he was only left with very few supporters.
Yes, because they all walked towards Lursa, B'Etor, and Tolar.
All right, so let's pick up Redemption 2.
Okay.
So this is the first episode of season 5. Worf is on board the Klingon ship, and it's under attack. And the Enterprise decides that it can't get involved in the Klingon Civil War. So Picard says, "No, we're just going to turn and leave." And so potentially Worf could be dead because this Klingon ship has been attacked by 2 birds of prey and it's getting heavily damaged. And then it also turns out that the Romulans are involved, and Commander Sela, played by Denise Crosby, who's Tasha Yar's daughter from the past, very complicated, timey-wimey things going on, is basically the mastermind behind this Romulan civil war. So the Romulans, or they suspect that the Romulans, I think we as the audience know that the Romulans are running supplies and weapons to the Duras side of the Civil War, the bad guys. And Captain Picard kind of also knows this, or suspects it. And decides that they have to try and kind of put together a fleet of ships to try and capture, or not capture, but detect the cloaked Romulan fleet running supplies to the bad Klingons. And so I think this episode takes a big change at this point and becomes a kind of sciencey solve the problem. It's very different, kind of differently themed. So Picard puts together a fleet of starships, and they go to an area of space, and they'll spread out and send tachyon beams between each other, like to cast a net to try and detect the Romulan warbirds as they fly by. Kind of really, it's the part of the episode which annoys me so much. You got space is like infinite, and you've got like 23 starships all kind of spread out. Why don't you just go up and around? Or down and around, or kind of to either sides and around. It's just a bit hokey. Anyways, turns out that there's a problem with one of the starships, and Picard weirdly repositions all the starships to leave a giant hole. But Sela thinks that this is a ruse to try and capture them. And then she decides to fire an energy beam at Data. Data's in the command of the USS Sutherland and has been hugely disrespected by the guy that is now his first officer. And we don't like this first officer. He would be in an airlock, and I would push the big red button if I were Data. So they see the problem. Data's ships kind of been disabled from the net. And so Picard orders the whole fleet to kind of fly away and set up the net in a different location. And Data refuses because he reads through all the sensor data really quickly, like it's all scrolling past like 100 pages at a time, and Data realises what the Romulans are doing and fires some torpedoes at them that have been reconfigured after scanning the area for where tachyons match up with spaces of like subspace inertial disturbances, and fires the torpedoes at that location, which temporarily shows up the locations of the Romulan warbirds, and the Romulan warbirds tuck tail and go home. And I think that's pretty much it. The Klingon Civil War still rages back on Kronos, because the Duras and Gowron are still fighting out to see who's going to be in command, but Duras are now no longer getting supplies and weapons from the Romulans, so they ultimately fail. Worf comes back to being Enterprise's head of security, and we all go back to normal, happily ever after. I think that's it.
So this is a big one, don't you think? This is a...
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
There's so many subplots within it, like the Sutherland and Data in command and dealing with that insubordination and that candid comments of his first officer.
He's just racist, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a brat.
Oh, a brat.
A brat.
And a brat. Not a brat. Not a sausage roll.
Not back to sausages, please. Hey, so I had a question again about this episode. Again, it just hit me in my rewatch. Guinan's comment to Worf when they're playing the laser tag thingy. And, I guess I could come down to level 14. I love that comment.
Yeah.
But she's talking to Worf and saying, well, why don't you laugh? Other Klingons laugh. Well, you're figuring out what it means to be Klingon. And she says that right after Worf was told by Gowron, you made that choice, you need to live with it. So for that scene, is Guinan saying to Worf, you need to continue and honor that decision? Because she's like, you need to figure out what being Klingon is. You're figuring that out right now. I get that in part 2, when Worf spares Toral's life, that's his way of being Klingon, because even Kern's like, well, then I'll kill him because it comes to me. And he's like, no, his life was given to me. I spared it. This is me being my Klingon. But that I follow from Guinan's conversation. But like for that first part, if we only had that first episode, is Guinan's advice to Worf to continue to be discommendated?
I don't think so. I don't think she's referring to that specifically, but more to Worf finding his way as a Klingon. And actually, in the second episode, it's B'Etor and Lursa that say something that I think hits it so spot on. They're watching him, interacting with the other Klingons, and the one says, Worf is not like his brother. And the other one says, no, he tries to be, but he's still unsure of himself. And I think that's just, like, he's been trying so hard to be Klingon his whole life, even though he was raised on Earth. And at the end, that last scene when he doesn't kill Toral, Kern says, what's wrong? Kill him. It's our way. It's the Klingon way. And Worf says, I know, but it's not my way. And I think he's finally starting to find that confidence in himself that it's okay to be, not more Klingon than Klingon. It's okay to be Worf, the Klingon raised on Earth. And I think kind of that's what Guinan was getting at, because as you see Worf in later series, his sense of humor comes out, and he does, laugh more. And he's always been kind of a stick in the mud, but he's not forcing it so hard, trying to be Mr. Stoic Warrior Klingon. And that's what I kind of got from Guinan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we forget, like, Worf, he doesn't know what it is to be Klingon. He is Klingon, but like you say, Rhea, he was brought up on Earth, and potentially the only access to Klingon literature or Klingon news was through, like, what you could access through Federation computers. Plus, he's probably still living with the fact that as a child, he killed another child during a sports game. So he had to kind of rein that Klingon warrior side of himself in, and that's probably why he's still quite guarded and subdued and doesn't let his emotions get away with him and isn't high-spirited, potentially.
Doesn't fight with the other Klingons in the bar.
Yes, because
his enemies. Yeah.
Because he knows what happens when He does get too rambunctious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's had to tame that side of him because
I also
he
think
lived
she's
with
just
humans.
telling him to lighten
Well, that's
up.
a good point.
Like, because if there's anyone who's the most serious person in all of Starfleet, it's Worf, right? When he said Klingons don't laugh, like everybody laughs. Like we'd seen it in the episode where Riker was an exchange officer with a Klingon. Like they were laughing and kidding around all the time. It might be a pretty feral, violent society, but it's also unlike they're the opposite of the Vulcans, where the Vulcans keep all their emotions contained. Klingons show every little piece of their emotion, whether it's rage or humor.
Yeah.
And I think that was Guinan's way of trying to get him out of his shell and to show him up a little bit too, because she's better with a phaser than he is.
I love the fact she uses a phaser in a really nonchalant manner. It's like she's just standing there, not really doing anything or paying attention. She's just like, oh, pew, 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 pew. And he's like warrior stanced and like kind of properly trying to aim at the targets and losing miserably.
And missing, yep.
Yes. And if there's any bridge member on the Enterprise D that should be smoking medicinal marijuana, it's Worf.
I love that we get in this episode that Worf gets to be strategic and it's like, and like taking command. Like this is his family name and he's taking it seriously. And it's like, we will wait for Gowron to feel the Duros's their fist close against him, and then we will come in and offer him salvation type of thing. I absolutely love that and wish that we got to see more of Worf's putting forth ideas and then not being shot down all the time. So this really highlights, how intelligent and strategic he can be. And I love that aspect of this
if we
redemption.
had seen more of how that bridge worked, because Kern is the captain of the ship, but Worf is the head of the family. Like that could have been a really interesting dynamic to play with more. And I think there was a bit of a missed opportunity there, but so let's get back to our criteria here. Let's talk about guest stars. I think we got quite a few, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Tony Todd is Kern.
Don't say his name.
Love.
Don't say his name. Tony Todd.
Robert O'Reilly as Gowron.
And even though she wasn't credited in part one at all, Denise Crosby as Sela. Those are your biggins.
Oh yeah.
With
and Tracy Lee Coco as Lieutenant Junior J in both episodes. And then we also had Nicholas Kepros played General Movar. Of course, he's relevant because he's Greek, and he was also born in Salt Lake City. So.
What? My hometown.
That's right.
Interesting.
And who's the first officer of the Sutherland?
I don't really know. He puts me in mind of Christian Slater, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Let's get that, but that isn't him.
His name is Timothy Carhart.
Huh.
That's Christopher Hobson.
Hobson, yes.
And I believe this was his only Star Trek appearance.
Well, that...
Max, I'm just looking at the Redemption Memory Alpha page. Max Cervantes.
Oh, Cervantes.
Who we know from Vegas.
Yes.
He was an operations division officer. Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think this episode has a lot of canon implications.
Yes.
We
definitely
obviously get Worf back in the Klingon name. So
right. Oh gosh, there's so much.
Yeah.
Worf gets undiscommendated. You have a whole lot of Klingon civil politics. Gowron is just installed as leader, and more about the Duras family and the Duras sisters who appear again and again. You have the whole Sela, Sela's conception story and the tie-ins to yesterday's Enterprise.
Yes. And Rhea, this is quite a Prime Directive episode. Well, the part 2 is with Picard, saying, well, do we interfere? This is a civil war. Prime Directive says we don't, but we could prevent the Romulans from helping or interfering. That's still interfering. Come on, Picard. I don't know. I was watching that since we just discussed the Prime Directive. I'm like, I wonder what Rhea's take is that. Did he break or did he follow the Prime Directive?
Because even the one admiral, I can't think of her name, said that, this is a Klingon Civil War, which by definition is an internal affair. So,
but at this,
is that violating the Prime Directive? But then versus keeping the Romulans out because they're not even a part of the Federation.
But the point also came up that the whole thing is Picard's fault because he sent Tasha to be killed.
Yeah, that is such a weak and lame excuse. I could not believe they even did that amongst all the writing and storytelling of intrigue and strategy. And that was the worst.
You can argue that it was Picard who chose Gowron as the leader of the High Council. So, he's already involved. And because Picard is involved, Starfleet is involved. And because Starfleet is involved, the Federation is involved. Like, somebody should have told Picard when he was, in the previous episodes, no, you cannot be the arbiter of succession. This does not make any sense. Find a Klingon.
I think I'm going to blame Captain Kirk for the whole debacle. Because if it wasn't for Captain Kirk dying in generations, then potentially Lursa and B'Etor in the future wouldn't have destroyed the Enterprise D. Because remember, that's what Scotty couldn't remember in Relics about Captain Kirk dying on the Enterprise B. So the whole thing's just one.
Well, then I'm going to blame Captain Archer because if he hadn't created that whole misunderstanding with those two Klingons in the very first episode of Enterprise, then there
and Broken Bow,
So,
yep.
Well, I'm going to blame the Vulcans because if they hadn't held the humans back from interstellar exploration.
I'm blaming Gene Roddenberry for creating the whole damn thing in the first place.
I was going to go there.
I'm blaming Gene Roddenberry's parents for birthing him.
And the circle continues to go round and round.
Damn that Big Bang for the creation of the universe.
Now,
damn you, Big Bang!
I have
damn
some
you!
Issues with this story along the same lines as the issues I had with Relics, in that there are characters that get left by the side. In the first part, the only time we see Deanna and Beverly is when Worf is being piped off the ship. It's the only time we see them, and we see the back of their heads. I thought maybe they had been given the week off and they just got body doubles because until later in the scene, the camera pans around and you see it's actually them. Like, they had no dialogue in the first half at all, and mostly we just see the back of their heads for the entire episode. Like, I know this kind of storytelling happens in later Star Treks, especially Deep Space Nine, where there's these sort of continuing plots so that some of our main characters don't get their plots, but they hadn't really gotten a great grasp on that style of storytelling on Star Trek at this point, and it really just it put our ladies in the corner, and they didn't have much to do. They didn't have much to do in the second half either. There was a conference room scene with the two of them, basically Deanna sensing that Seal is telling the truth about Tasha being her mother, and that's all we see of them in this episode. So the fact that we've sidelined two of our main cast is a problem for me with this episode.
Both of them. They're both very light on the Troy, which does not make me happy. So thanks for bringing that up.
I also think way too easy in this episode. So Worf goes and demands that he intervenes. Picard says, no, go back to your station, do your job. Worf says, fine, I quit. At this point, Worf has left Starfleet. He's been trying to almost blackmail his captain into using Federation resources to back his side of the conflict. And then once this sort of flare-up of the conflict is over, it's like, oh yeah, Worf, come on back. like, you resigned because you felt more loyalty to your side of the Klingon Civil War than to Starfleet at that point. I would put a discommendation on Worf's record at that point. Like, I just like there's no consequence. There's no consequences for Worf.
Trade one
here
discommendation for another.
He gets his name back with the Klingon High Council. That's great. But he shouldn't have been allowed back into Starfleet that quickly. It just feels, I don't know.
Well, I think that Picard gave him the idea, did he not?
Interesting parallel.
Picard says your commendation is a facade to protect less honourable men, and it's a lie, and lies must be challenged. So it's basically Picard's fault for kind of telling them, go off and do this thing that you need to do for your people.
Well, an interesting parallel there between this episode and Picard the series, because Picard does the exact same thing when he goes into Starfleet Command and says, hey, if you don't give me ships to rescue the Romulans, I quit.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're like, bye-bye. So, so maybe Picard, maybe he should have, there should have been some kind of consequences for Worf, but Picard seems to be the kind of person that, if you really believe that you're doing the right thing, which actually he says to Data at the end, when Data presents himself for disciplinary actions for disobeying orders, and Picard says that, terrible things have been done under the guise of I was just following orders. So I think we have a few incidences that show Picard is okay with kind of going rogue every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
I love that scene where Picard's dishing out orders for people to go and command this ship and that ship, and Data hangs back and say, I wonder why I haven't been given command of a ship. Is it because you don't think I'm ready? And I think Picard, to cover his embarrassment, says, oh, you're right, here's the command. We need somebody to command the USS Sutherland. But it's never really addressed, like why Picard thought that in the first place, I don't think. Picard does say...
he just forgot about him. It happens. You just forget about the superandroid that's in your staff.
Is it kind of an unconscious bias on Picard's part? That he does think that potentially an android isn't going to be a suitable kind of captain.
That seemed to be the way it was played, for sure.
So
interesting. Any more comments about Redemption? Mm-hmm. I do have one more criticism of Redemption too, and it's that unlike most of, and I mentioned this earlier too, unlike most Next Gen episodes, this is a continuity heavy episode. It had been quite a while since I had watched any of the build up to this episode. So jumping in at the point where we did, is this a point you wanted to make?
Yeah. Well, you jogged my memory. So I was going to ask, so when was the last time that this story came? Because now we're at the end of season 4, beginning of season 5, where we're finally getting where we're getting Gowron put into power. Like, how long ago was it that
Sins of the Father happened? Which was the end of season 3.
Yeah, so we're going an entire year, if you will, of the Klingons not having a leader. That seems a really long time to have the decision and then execute it.
Maybe there's lots of Klingon ritual stuff to be done. Maybe has to go and meditate for 4 months, and they have to make a new specially designed pain sticks for the ceremony, and kind of I don't know, boil 1 million targ to get enough candle wax or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it just seems like a really long time.
Well, again, looking at Memory Alpha, this was initially conceived to be the 3rd season cliffhanger where we got Best of Both Worlds instead. So the whole story was pushed back a year.
Oh, interesting.
And it was mostly because Gene Roddenberry didn't like the premise of a war story on Star Trek. Even though it was the Klingons and not the Federation wasn't really involved at all. Apparently Gene Roddenberry didn't think of Worf as a main character. He was a secondary character, and the show should have been about Picard. So the fact that they were hinging a whole storyline on Worf and his family and his civilization, Roddenberry didn't care for that.
Well, thank you, Ronald D. Moore.
And I think also there were the contract negotiations with Patrick Stewart at the end of season 3, so they kind of had to do something where they could potentially kill him off if need be.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I can't.
Oh, what if? What if?
I can't. All right, so that brings us to the debate and vote. Who has any sort of opening remarks about that want to sway us one way or the other? Anybody want to say anything? Amy does.
Okay.
I'll go first. My vote is for redemption. I just feel overall the importance to canon outweighs the Jimmy Doohan. Just a smidgen, because the great Jimmy Doohan and the great Scotty, great episode, that nostalgia, that fan service, that coming full circle, absolutely
that incredible
wonderful.
Scottish accent.
Exactly.
You know, he's Canadian.
He
Yeah,
is.
that's true.
But I
Notice how I
love
haven't said anything.
I see your eyes rolling.
Disgust.
But I love the intrigue and the how are we going to solve this, and let's get Worf back his name, and let's get Sela and Romulans exposed, and let's finally deal with the Doros once and for all, which is not the case, but it, sort of feels like it. All right, they're done. The Romulan connection has been made. No more Doros. Stop that. I just feel like I said, the number of subplots within Redemption makes it for a better story. I like the guest stars in Redemption. There's a little few more than in Relics. So just a smidgen, my vote is for Redemption.
Okay, so I don't really like Klingon storylines. It's just not something that really speaks to me on any level. If you have all your little narrative levers that you can dial up, then in terms of the science lever, Relics wins it for me, hands down, because of the hokey tachyon net detection net thing from Redemption. In terms of continuity, then hands down Redemption wins it because of Sins of the Father into Redemption, then maybe a little bit of Birthright later on, then to Generations, then to pretty much half of the Deep Space Nine storylines that featured Worf and the whole Klingon war arc and all that. So I think my vote has to go, even though I don't like Klingons all that much. And Redemption is just it's a movie, isn't it? Even though it's 2 episodes and there's kind of all the bits where the ad breaks are going to come in, and then it ends, and then you get the opening sequences and all that. It feels like a movie. It feels cinematic in contrast to Relics. So my vote goes to Relics. No, I'm kidding on Redemption.
Rhea?
Well, so yeah, this was a tough one, and it's almost kind of not fair that we have a 2-parter going against a 1-parter, but that's the nature of the beast. At some point we're going to have movies going against 1-parters. But you all know what a TOS is. My Star Trek, and yeah, when you hear that transporter sound and Scotty first beams onto your screen, the goosebumps, and then of course all the references to TOS episodes, and then when he walks into the holodeck and it's the the Enterprise, no bloody A, B, C, or D. I have goosebumps right now just thinking about it. But having said that, I think there's a little too much fan service in that episode, and the way that Scotty, both the way he kind of acts and gets in the way and the way he's treated, just make me so uncomfortable and make me so sad. So, yeah, and I love the science too in Relics. I'm with you there, Joe. I love the science. And then in Redemption, that I love Klingon stories. And there's just so many connections to canon, and it's so relevant and kind of a pivotal, story that, and I don't love the whole Sela part, but I like to tie into yesterday's Enterprise. So just when it comes down to which episodes would I rather watch, because Relics just makes me a little uncomfortable, I'm vote Redemption.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Relics.
Me too, because of your
I fooled y'all.
TOS.
Yeah.
So, my vote and the fan vote don't.
It doesn't matter.
but
It doesn't
I will
matter,
tell
Kevin.
you
Let's
that
just move on. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show.
Joe?
I'm with Joe that I
Sorry,
don't love Klingon stories, especially on TNG. But this really is part of the beginning of the Klingon soap opera that Star Trek is, right? Like all the political intrigue, the Duroses, Gowron. This will lead to Martok and the return of the classic Klingons on Deep Space Nine, right? This sets up like almost the next 10 years of Klingon storylines in the franchise. Relics gives me the warm fuzzies. Parts of it do. Parts of it are, I don't want to feel those feelings these days. But just seeing and the classic Enterprise bridge, love that. The references to the old original series, love that too. But what wins out here is importance to canon and guest stars, and Redemption has that over Relics. So it's got to go unanimously to Redemption. I will say,
Wow.
Is it unanimous, though?
Our
Because
viewer
we need
vote
to get our
was
viewers,
9
our
to 6
listeners.
for Redemption. So I'm sure we are going to hear from those 6 people and many other people who love Relics and claim Relics is their very favorite episode of Star Trek of all time. And I'd love to hear from them. So please bring it. But
Bring it.
Redemption will be going on to the next round. The next Bat'leth battle, which will happen in a few weeks, is 2 season 3 episodes going head-to-head against each other. They are the episodes Booby Trap and The Vengeance Factor.
Yes.
Amy's excited.
It's kind of crazy that we had 2 such sort of big heavy hitter episodes, and then these are 2 more middle of the road, kind of just regular episodes of Star Trek here. So it'll be interesting.
I'm excited because these episodes don't get talked a lot about, especially like the Vengeance Factor.
That was one of the whole
So I am
points of
very
starting
excited.
The Bat'leth battle was to talk about episodes like Booby Trap and Vengeance Factor. So
Incoming transmission.
Cool.
So, like I said, we would love to hear your thoughts on today's show, and we hope you will join the Facebook group, Federation Council Chambers. You are welcome to start conversations with us or add any general Star Trek info you want to share with the group.
If you'd like to send us an email, you can email the network at galaxyclass@ufp.earth, and we will most definitely read it on air.
Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a star rating and written review. That helps others to find the show. You can also follow the entire network's podcasts with our master feed by searching United Federation of Podcasts. This way you won't miss any of our fine shows like All Good Things, Franchise Fatigue, Always Hold On to Arrow, General Quarters, Mickey's Marvels, Infinite Diversity, Trek Pod, and 2 new podcasts, History with the Szilagys and Sasquatch. So, Rhea, where can people find you when you're trying to destabilize an alien government?
Oh, well, that does take up most of my time. But in my free time, I will be on the Federation Council Chambers. You can send me an email at galaxyclass@ufp.earth. Actually, better than that, you can send me an email. Joe, I took a page from my podcasting hero here. You can send me an email at riapod47@gmail.com. And I
Riapods. They should be canon. Like instead of escape pods, like it's where you put all your valuables. Keep your valuables in the Riapod,
like a Calvin pod
or Apple AirPods.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Well, see, Joe, if you listened to last week's episode, Rheapod was my nickname back in the day because I would never stop singing. I was like an iPod, but I was a Rheapod.
Ah.
So let's not forget the 47, because just Rheapod was taken by somebody else who probably doesn't want to get your emails as much as I do. So, Amy, where can people find you when you are not... trying to think how to put it into words.
That would help. Being a podcast, no.
Yes. Being a podcast. So, Amy, where can people find you when you are not developing the technology necessary to design and implement a Dyson Sphere?
Well, when I'm not consulting Joe with that task.
4/3 pi r cubed.
Thank you. 4/3 pi r cubed.
That's what I said, 4/3 pi r cubed.
Oh, okay.
I was lost in accent translation. Yeah.
Well, you can find me here on the network where I'm hosting All Good Things with my good friends Ken and Pat. I am also talking Orville and Trek on Union Federation podcast. I'm on Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson, but my favorite place right there, Federation Council Chambers. And Kevin, where can people find you when you finally emerge from a transporter? Not looking a day older than 120.
Well, when it's very restful being inside a transporter buffer. You get good sleep and you feel great.
I bet.
But if that hasn't happened to me, you can find me in the Federation Council Chambers on Facebook. You can find me on a couple of other podcasts I do, which include True North Nerds and Stage Whispers, the local theater podcast. You can find me on Twitter, on Facebook, or on TikTok. I'm at KevinGS71 on TikTok. And Joe, where can people find you when you are fixing a hole in a tachyon detection grid?
When I'm not doing that, you can tweet me on the Twitter at JoeyJoe77UK. You can email me, joepodcasts@gmail.com, or you can get me on the Federation Council Chambers.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
If you'd like to help us keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/UFPEarth. That's patreon.com/UFPEARTH to get all the details.
We would like to recognize our executive producers, Brendan Shamatella, Ken Tripp, Zach Moore, and Tony Robinson. We would also like to thank Zach Tripp for our opening and closing music, and Tony Robinson for our amazing artwork each and every week.
Thank you for beaming aboard the Galaxy class, and until next time...
Listeners, I've just finished listening to the audiobook version of Andy Weir's book, Project Hail Mary. Andy Weir wrote The Martian, and this is a very similar story, and it's utterly, astoundingly amazing. Please go and listen to it. It's awesome.
It is green. Stay classy, Galaxy.
Great joy and gratitude.
I don't feel a day over 120.
Kevin, that was a much better accent than Amy normally attempts. Well done.
Or James
Thank
doing
you.
Well, yes.
Engage.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.